welcome to the Merfolk wrap-up. I went 3-1, managed to have a good amount of fun in the process, and got 6 packs in a QP, so it was nice to come out ahead. There weren't too many surprises, everything performed about how I expected it to. But to go ahead and get into the rounds, in our first round we played against Pod, which I don't know how good of a matchup it is. I guess it's about 50-50, but we managed to take games 1 and 3 on the back of some pretty fast draws. So always good news. The deck doesn't really have a lot of ways to actually interact with us. It's just a question of whether they get their infinite combo before we deal them 20. But we managed to deal them 20 in 2 of our 3 games, so always nice. Round 2, we played against a really unusual one. We played against Eggs, actually. He beat us 2-1, and both games that he won, he killed us on his 4th turn, which was very impressive. I know people kind of disregarded Eggs a bit after the second Sunrise banning, and maybe it's just possible that Eggs isn't as good as the other combo decks in the format. I'm not really sure, but maybe that deck deserves a second look. It certainly looked pretty good while it was beating me, so that was fun. I am a very big fan of combo decks, even when I'm losing to them, so that was enjoyable. And round 3 we played against Jund Splashing White, and there are our prizes. We played against Jund Splashing White, sometimes called a Jundy, and we managed to beat it 2-1, although the game that I lost, I actually made a very bad misplay. I forgot to use Cursecatcher to counter a Thoughtseize, which it's possible that he still would have beaten us anyway, but the fact that I screwed up that play really did put me at a big disadvantage. I do really like the Jund matchup, and I think that is one of the main reasons to consider playing this deck in Modern right now, because Jund is the most popular deck, and I'd say this deck crushes Jund pretty hard. Like, we did get to see some Spreading Seas really take care of our opponent there. Spreading Seas definitely did some work. And then in round 4, we actually played against another Pod deck, and this time we beat it 2-0, which was pretty nice. In one game, we had a scenario, we were like attacking with a bunch of guys, and I wasn't sure if our opponent was going to be able to live through it or not, but we actually managed to deal him exactly 20 with the play that he made, and he was at 20 life, which was cool. And then game 2, I believe we just took care of him with a bunch of Spreading Seas, which was always nice. As far as the card choices, I'm not sure if I would change anything. I think I do want more Merrow Reejerys. We're only playing 2. Some builds have more, and it did perform better than I expected, so I'm not sure if I want to go all the way up to 4, but I think I'll maybe try going to 3, see how 3 does, and then if when I'm playing 3 I decide, man, I really want a 4th, then I'll add the 4th. Corahelm Commander underperformed a little. I noticed myself boarding out the card a lot. It does seem like the weakest card in the deck overall, so I am tempted to cut that for something. Maybe one of those gets cut for Reejery. Maybe we could play some other 2-drops like Sig. We could actually play either Sig. We could play River Guide or River Cutthroat. I'm also not sure, in hindsight, if I want 4 Cursecatchers. Some builds play 3. I do like to maximize my potential to curve out, but that's another thing I'd consider cutting. We never drew our one of Thassa, which I don't really know what that means. Maybe that means we need to play more Thassas. Maybe that means we just issue it entirely. There weren't a lot of games where I was like, man, I'm really dying to draw a Thassa right now. So maybe that card's just completely unnecessary. Devotion is cool, of course, but who knows? I will obviously need to actually cast the card before I know how good it is, so maybe that'll happen sometime in the future. Sideboard seemed about where I wanted it to be as well. We did play against 2 pod decks, a Jund deck, and Eggs. I didn't really have a sideboard for Eggs, and that's not really something I'm going to change, I think, because Eggs is not a deck I really expect to play against often. That is nowhere near a popular deck in Modern right now. If, for whatever reason, you really wanted to have something against Eggs, you could try Stony Silence, of course, but I'm not sure if that's necessary. Stony Silence could also come in against Affinity, so that might be something to consider, but I pretty much liked everything for now. We didn't really get to play against a lot of variety, so I didn't get to try out like all my sideboard cards. Like Spellskite never came in. Leyline, I did bring it in one game, but it didn't really do what I wanted it to. So we didn't really get to test all of our sideboard cards. The main ones that were coming in were like the Tidebinder Mages. In the right meta, I still would consider main decking some number of Tidebinders. Like if hypothetically we had main decked it this tournament, it would have been good in 3 out of our 4 matches. So, not sure. Jury's still not in on whether maining Tidebinder's good. Jury's still not in on Thassa. Corahelm Commander's looking a little on the weaker side, but I think this is a good deck. I like it. Like all the matchups feel winnable. It's easy to play, like very straightforward. I mean, turning your opponent's lands into islands and then just attacking with a bunch of unblockable guys is tons of fun for me. I do still think the white splash is correct. I didn't draw my Path to Exiles very much, but they seem fine, and I've yet to actually get punished for my mana base yet, so it still feels like a free splash to me. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend this deck for Modern. If you've played the mono blue deck in Standard before, it's a good transition. If you've played Merfolk before, maybe in Legacy or something, also a good transition. I think this deck definitely can appeal to a lot of people. So yeah, I'd recommend giving this deck a go.